Yo, 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 what is going on? It is the Crazy Rat here right now, back with Chapter 9 of my Invaders in fan fiction. A tiny minuscule announcement. As soon as I get the next chapter, Chapter 10, out, I will put all of the videos from this series into a playlist so that you can find them all in one place. Once that happens, I won't have to put all of the previous videos into the description anymore. Woohoo! So, this is the last time I'll be saying this. If you have not seen the videos for chapters 1 through 8, they are down in the description for you. With all that being said, let's dive right in. So sit back, relax, and enjoy it all, right here, right now. Chapter 9, Pigs Ahoy. Today was a Dib day for me. I was spending the day hanging out at Dib's house like the old days. We were both in Dib's room. I was sitting on the edge of his bed, watching and listening to Dib pace back and forth while ranting about something paranormal. I think that new guy down the street could be a vampire. Think about it. He never comes outside until sundown. He's always dressed in black. He doesn't even have any mirrors in his car. Gaz always dressed black, I responded to Dib. I'm just saying it's all pretty suspicious if you ask me. Dib paused from his pacing. Hey Liz, do you want to go spy on this guy and see what he's all about? I not know. I just sort of looked to the side. Come on, I thought you loved going on paranormal investigations. Remember when we investigated that haunted barn? I looked back up at Dib and smiled at the old memory. We accidentally scared old wood chipper, and we taken home by police. I laughed. Yeah, so what's the problem now? Dib sat next to me on the bed. What you do if you catch vampire? What do you mean? I'll get my proof and send it into Mysterious Mysteries, of course. I mean, I looked down at my front paws. Would you have him killed like you would Zim? Dib threw his head back, now knowing what I was on about. Are you serious? This is about Zim? Dib stood up and turned away from me. Man, I can't even talk to you without him being brought up anymore. Dib started to head for the door. You know what? Whatever. I'm going down for a snack. I sighed before going downstairs as well. I found Dib and Gaz in the living room, and Dib was yelling at Gaz for eating all the cereal. You think you own all the cereal. Gaz scowled at him. Well, you know what, Dib? You don't. You just don't. I looked over at Dib from the door. Look, all I'm saying is if you're gonna... What was I saying? Gaz? Have I always sounded this funny? As long as I've known you. And have I always had this claw for a hand? Yeah, I said, trotting over. You told me you were in tricycle accident when you were 3. You have your hand replaced. Does Dib remember? Huh. Now that you mention it, I do. An ad for Blody's Pizza Hog came on the TV, and Dib stared angrily at it. The pig. It haunts me. Oh, no be so dramatic. I grabbed Dib's claw hand. Come on, want to spy on Zim or something? Now that sounds more like the Liz I know. Dib ran to get a couple of his dad's cloaking jackets. When he came back, he was explaining it to me and Gaz shushed him. Whatever. I'm gonna sneak up past those giant lawn gnomes and leave a nasty message note. Leave a nasty note on his door. Dib bent over and started breathing heavier than usual. I've always had these tubes in my neck. You had hover helmet accident when you were 6, only 2 years before we met. Remember? Have my plans always been this lame? Gaz pointed at Dib. Oh, yeah. And these visions of pigs in my head. What's with these pigs? Dib, come on. I stepped over and grabbed Dib's sleeve in my mouth, leading him to the door. We go leave nasty note by Zim. That make you feel better. Yeah, okay. Dib surrendered. I carefully led Dib down the street as I always do. The poor boy can hardly walk anywhere without me. Don't know how he survived 2 years like this without a trusty canine companion like myself. We made it to the front of Zim's house, where we saw Zim's little robot come out with a rubber pig. Dib screamed at the robot and pig's appearance. The robot screamed back and ran into the house, leaving the pig on the ground. Dib, stay calm. I released his sleeve and nudged his hand gently. Remember, stress not good for your poor little heart. Dib crawled over to the door and started banging on it and yelling at Zim. I know you're behind the piggies, Zim. I don't know how, but I know that it's you. Rubber piggies have ruined my life, and it's all been you. I approached Dib and tried to lift him off the ground with my head. Dib, let's just leave note and go. You're not in any shape for this thing. Dib only shoved me back, and I was surprised. He'd never dismissed me like that before. He was really serious about something, but I didn't understand what. I stepped back to the first row of gnomes and just watched my only friend. Dib started punching the house with his massive cyborg fist. You will pay for ruining my childhood, Zim. You will pay. I gulped. I hated it when his temper got like this. I know he'd never harm me, but sometimes his mass is just too much for me. I stick around because he protects me from humans that aren't so nice to feral freaks like me. With one massive punch, Dib knocked in the front wall of Zim's house. I remained in the gnome field, knowing not to get in his way. My whole life has been a miserable pig-filled ordeal because of you! Dib punched around the walls of the house. You can hide, Zim, but you can't hide! The poor little robot looked up at Dib's exoskeleton and rockets. Prepare for your destruction! Dib launched about a dozen rockets, and the small robot screamed and ran down the toilet. Dib was getting through the house and into the lower parts of the base. Zim's demise was unavoidable at this point. I've seen the Dibborg destroy before, and he's quite the unstoppable force. Dib finally made it to the part of the base that Zim was in, and I watched from the hole in the floor that he had made. And now, Zim, this is for tampering with the past. This is for the pigs. The robot arm drew back and was ready to strike. Zim threw a rubber pig into some sort of vertical whirlpool as the hand came down. Enjoy your last moments of privacy. Soon the world will see. Wait a minute. Have I always been like this? Been like what? Alien-obsessed boy with impossible hair? Yeah, that you. I told my old friend on the porch of my more recent friend. Yes, Dib cried. I have, haven't I? Life! Good old Dib like Dib! The gnomes grabbed Dib's legs and dragged him off the property. Zim had programmed the gnomes to ignore me because I'm not an intruder. Back on the sidewalk. Dib, you act weird for yourself. You feel okay? I've never felt better, Liz. Dib and I started walking back to his house. He was full of excitement and energy. I've never felt so alive. In fact, Dib started to reach into the pocket of his trench coat, but we were interrupted. Wolfie! I heard Gur scream my name from the house. I took a few steps towards the house. Yes, Taco Pop, what is it? The master needs your help! Meow! He shouted before running back into the house. I looked at Dib and shrugged. Sorry, Dib. Looked like I needed. I ran back in the house, and Gur led me down to a room where I found a vertical whirlpool, and Zim dumbly holding his own brain. After Gur explained the whole thing to me in great, unnecessary detail, it was up to me to bring Zim back to normal. I found the Zim in the past right after trading his brain for a pig and put the brain in the whirlpool, which was more like a time blender. Zim was back to normal with a gasp of air. I am Zim! You certainly are, I smiled. Ah, the great wolf pup has rescued Zim! Zim grabbed me and held my head in a skull-crushing hug. Can't say I was complaining all that much. I'll take whatever form of affection I can from him. I smiled into his chest and wagged my tailbone. That is one more amazing chapter finished. I hope at least some of you enjoyed it, and that you'll let me know if you did. If you didn't, why are you still here? But for those of you that did, I will see you little darlings next time. And remember, keep your crazy.